Hello and welcome to French Property Renovations, and today I became the proud owner of all of what you now see. Now, on the internet, on the TV, there's lots of renovation property programs in France. Did I buy a village? Did I not buy a village? My question to you, my audience, of course, is did I buy a village? And I'm going to give you a walkthrough now, and you can make your choices and decide whether I did or not. And please comment as to whether you think I did or not. Let's run through it first. First of all, we have this great big barn here, which I'm now putting in for planning permission to see if we can get change of use. So it can be potentially a one-bedroom Gite on the end, house in the middle, and the bit where the roof has collapsed, I'm probably going to make an inside garden, all dependent on funds. Next to that, we've got the house, which I've pointed on three sides, three elevations, if you want to be correct, on the house so far on the exterior, making it watertight, because we're now in December, Christmas is around the corner. This side, let's stick on this side of the road though first. We have the field at the back as well, and in total on this side we've got 7.5 hectares, and it goes up to the bamboo and along to the oak tree, and then it's behind the other 6 properties that are in my little hamlet and all the way down the field. So all of this, all the way as far as you can see to the trees, is my field, and it goes with all this property on this side of the road. And on this side of the road we also have, which I'll show you on the rear of this one, we've got a Dutch barn. Behind the house I've got some little outbuildings. One outbuilding is going to be a Gite, which I'll show you, and we've got an old barn. Behind the barn we've got some polytunnels that's 20 metres by 40 metres and insulated, and that roughly, oh, and a little pond as well, and that covers this side of the road. On this side we've got a beautiful cottage, and this sits on its own 6,000 square metres of land. No water, no electric, but it does have 2 wells. So if you're into off-grid living, that's a possibility for off-grid living. But I'm going to show you this house first, because full renovation, does have a nice new roof. And a new roof, let me tell you, here in France is going to, for this, is probably going to be in the region of 30 to 50,000 euros. New roof on it, guttering as well. So really it's windows, point the outside, and then a full interior. So let's go and have a look at that. So here we have the little cottage. We've got the old well, and there's another well in the middle of the grounds, which is an agricultural well. I think that's been done on some form of French government grant. All the animals are following me, by the way. It's like Hans Christian Andersen all over again, but with animals. On the far end of the plot, we've got a small little orchard, some cherry trees in there, nothing spectacular. But here we go. I'll give you a nice little guided tour. I've brought my light as well for the dark places of the world. Reminds me of Lord of the Rings, Gandalf. So I'm hoping you can see this. This is now basically the ground floor is 4 rooms as we speak. The straw on the floor, I've got a feeling it'll be a stone floor underneath, and set of stairs. Chute was in, I think, so they could drop feed down to the animals, and needs a new floor. Same in this one. So this would be a lounge if we come into here, which makes a nice lounge area. It's probably 4 meters by maybe 6.5. Quite quaint. We've got the old stone mullions here, which are quite a nice feature, holding the stonework up for the chimney. But the chimney has been capped off and they've put the roof right over the top. So more than likely it'll be a wood burner with a twin wall flue going up there. We've got a small window here. Nice oak beams. A lot of work, new floor, keep me busy. And if we go across this side, so this would be a lounge, I believe. Into the entrance, personally I think you could have a downstairs toilet in the corner here and a little cloak room there, and then leave it open as a nice open plan hallway. Into here we've got another old fireplace, which here not as grand. This wouldn't have been the parlour for the guests. I think the one across the corridor would have been. So this would have been a proper working fire. Again, nice oak beams. I'm not sure why the French do this, but this one obviously looked like it's been cracked. But above we've got clay and cement tiles, which I'll probably remove to take the weight off these. And this one is probably timber, wattle and daub. Hope I'm not blinding you with my light. Well, that I'll remove to make this again one big room and the kitchen. Probably most likely in here, because these beams, if you look at them, these beams go right across, it might be possible to lose this pillar. And if I can lose that pillar, I think a nice set of sliding doors would be nice in there. Have a open plan kitchen and a little dining area in here. So a nice cute cottage. So let's take you upstairs and I'll show you the upstairs. So, now we're upstairs. As you can see, this has had its new roof put on. Looks like Douglas fir to me. All new purlins and the rafters as well, and the vapour barrier, which is really good. It's ready for renovation pretty much. If you look here, you can see that the chimney has been lowered. And if it was me now, and obviously it is me, I'm most likely going to remove this chimney to about this level and then bring the twin wall through here so that the chimney flue from the wood burner will help to heat upstairs. Now this is probably same as below, 6.5 meters wide by probably 15 meters in length. The cement floor is obviously goosed. So for me, I'm going to remove all the weight, move all of this, stick all the insulation up in the loft, this area, maybe put some Velux windows in and everything, but take all this weight off the building. And this would make a lovely 3/4 bedroomed house. You can see it in yourself now, bedroom at either end. You can have a bedroom and a bathroom in this section and a nice landing area, or you can make it tinier, make one master bedroom and 3 smaller bedrooms. If you walk this way, the view out of here is quite splendiferous. Lovely word, that, isn't it? Splendiferous. And obviously it's a little bit higher than the barn across the way, but it gives you a nice view of that out the windows. I'm now at the rear of the little cottage, stood in the plot, which obviously, like I say, is about 6,000 square meters. There's a slight little ramp there that comes off the road. So for me, it would be nice to have a curving driveway in, and potentially over towards the boundary, you would need to have some sort of carport wood shed for your wood burner to store your wood, and maybe your lawnmower. You need a lawnmower in France, let me tell you. But here's the back, and I'm going to give a bit of advice here. If you are buying in France and you need to have a septic tank, you need to make sure that you've got enough space, garden-wise, to put your septic tank in. But here, kitchen on the far end with sliding doors potentially, middle window for your hallway where the stairs are, and a nice cosy lounge. Kept cool in the summer and warm in the winter because of the small windows. And if you look across the way, we've got the old barn, the house, small outbuildings, and the Gite just hidden there, the barn, and then we've got the polytunnels at the far end. So it's quite a large complex. But if we're looking at valuations here for this house, I personally think with a swimming pool, somewhere to put your car and your wood and etc., I think this is $250,000 plot here, fully renovated. So a lot of work though, extreme amount of work, if you can imagine. Knocking all the render off, repointing it, it'll keep you busy for a couple of years. So I think we'll go next to have a look at the barn. And if we look at this barn, it's hard to explain from inside, and for you, my audience, to get some perspective here. But the first section where the first door is and the dormer window, there's a ever so slight settlement crack, and there is actually a 2-foot thick wall there that goes from front to back. So it's potentially possible to separate that from the rest of the barn, which would make a Gite. Now, the house roof, if you look at it, it's meeting up with the barn, and I'm potentially going to put a new roof on it, and I'm thinking of running the roof all the way to the barn so as it meets the front corner, and that would allow me then to put like an entrance doorway there where you could then go left to the barn and right to the house, because unfortunately somebody's put cement over what was a doorway. Now, I haven't pointed that for a specific reason, in so much as I might knock that through and reutilize the old doorway, because there's also the old doorway which has got a date stamp of 1700 and something, so it just shows you how old it is. And my little Gite here on the rear has a nice bread oven in it, and I think, because none of the other properties here have any bread ovens, I think that was the bread oven for the little hamlet, and it was making all the bread back in the day. So we're probably talking 17th, 18th century. It was making the bread for all these people here. And let's go and have a look at the barn. So in relation to the house across the road having no water, no electric, I've got electric 3-phase here, so it's not a big job to get the electric over there and the water. Quite straightforward. But we're closer now, and I'll try and explain what I'm meaning. So the date stamp here, it's hard to see here, it's better in the sunshine, but it's got 1783 I think on there. But anyways, let's move on. So I'm thinking doorway here, and let this roof run straight over so as it meets the gable end of the barn. This would then make this the front of this house, and we can have fencing at the back and have this as a front entrance to the whole complex. Put a doorway in here, and then I can utilize these nice old stonework, knock the cement off, which it will make a possible mess because it sticks like shit to a blanket. But hopefully we can knock that through and join it back up with the house, and I'll put a doorway in there, and that links the two together. Main entrance. So what does the barn give you? I bet you're wondering. Big door, that's what it gives you. So in here we're talking probably 5 meters, I would say. I'm mixing in here, so as if I'm mixing and it's raining and I'm doing pointing in the house, I'm not getting wet. But here we've got an upstairs, downstairs obviously, and I've got a set of stairs potentially to go in here. But I think here we would definitely need a set of sliding doors or something there, so we can take in the view out the back onto the field, and a new roof and a full renovation in here. Now there is one doorway upstairs there that would take you into the barn, but this doesn't connect on the ground floor with the rest of this huge barn. So this would make a nice entrance, dining room, kitchen, all in one. Plenty of space, plenty of cobwebs if you like cobwebs. But it would do a nice little 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom Gite, in my opinion. So let's go and see the rest of the barn, which is beautiful. Oh, big doors. So in we go here. And this is the ground floor of this section. I'm using it as firewood storage at the moment, but you've still got all the old timber work that I think would have separated the cattle, because you've still got the old O-rings where they probably would have tied a cow up or a sheep or something. But now this would make, I don't know, here we're just spoilt for choice and for space and design, but that's the view out the back. And there's our Dutch barn, which I might have to knock down so we can take in the view. It does need some work, so I probably over time would knock that down. But back in here in the barn, because that's what we're looking at, This is just huge and vast, I have to say, and it's what do you do with it? So I think it would suit being a house all on its own. And if you look up here, if you can actually take in some of the timber work that's on the roof here, it's absolutely fantastic. And these oak beams are 12 inches, which is 300 millimeters by 300 millimeters. They're vast. And if you were to demolish the barn, you would probably, I don't know, conservatively, you might get 15, 20 grand in oak beams, especially if you took them back to England where they're in very high demand. But French oak isn't as strong as English oak. Not sure why. Somebody knows the answer. So this gets us now into the main big area of the barn. And where you've got this bit where it's collapsed, I've heard many stories why it's collapsed, from thunder and lightning to somebody hitting it with a bobcat. But basically, we've got these timber beams that are currently still intact, and it would be my opinion just to run a wall up this side of the timbers. Run a wall up, put a nice set of windows in here, and have that part as an outdoor garden. Maybe take the triangle off the gable end, the hip, the ridge, whatever you want to call it. Some of them call it a pike. But this would make a nice indoor sitting area, somewhere to have your coffee in the morning. Take out the concrete blocks and you've got the view back down the field. So what could this be? Open plan kitchen, dining room, and if you look on the top here, you can just about make out the doorway at the far end. Upstairs you've got room for 4 ensuite bedrooms easily. So this is a vast project. And if you can see the beams here, they're fantastic them. 3 of them. This one obviously isn't the original. You can see the difference where it's been bolted. It says on there, somebody sprayed it, or painted it, 1930. You can just about make that out. And if we go over to the window, I'll show you the view. And here, I have pulled these oak beams from out of there, and I'm going to sand these down, and where I'm going to put a sliding door in the main house on the gable, I'm going to use these as lintels. So recycle, upcycle what you can, but this gives you the view now out the back of this particular barn, which is pretty stunning. We've got the horses in the field there. Now we'll go and look at the outbuildings. So we're making our way around the back of the barn now to go to the outbuildings, and a lot of this land that we're now stood on, when I first came, was 1 metre high grass. All along here was brambles. I've used the JCB to scrape that back, and sometimes you wonder whether to video all these things or not to video them. But going forwards, I'm going to try and either do some more on my Instagram or maybe do some more short videos on YouTube, just to give you an idea, because I'm always busy at this. And from an investment perspective, you can't rest on your laurels. If you want to make it good, if you want to have a nice house to live in, you have to work hard. It's as simple as that. But let's have a walk round, give you an idea. We've probably got 3, maybe 12 meters distance from the barn to the boundary there. And here there was a lot of nettles, and my philosophy with the nettles is to keep trimming them, keep them as short as possible, and give the grass chance to really compete with the nettles. And it's turning to grass slowly. The grass is winning, but I've got more jobs to do over the winter and into next spring, where some of these rocks have fell off the roof and I keep pulling them out. So I'm trying to keep them all, because these are flat stones, a lot of these, and flat rocks, flat stones in the recycle terms are worth more money in the reclaim market, so you want to keep hold of them. And a lot of these ash trees that you can see along the boundaries here, I have been digging them up, and I'll show you where I've been planting them, because the birds have been sitting on the edge of the roof because there's no gutters and the water just drops down. So the birds have been dropping and seeds are obviously landing and taking root. I don't want them next to the house, so I'm slowly digging them out by hand or with the digger and putting them on the boundaries. So that's a December, January, February type of job, just to clear it. All of this you can see was overgrown, still not perfect. I've still got brambles here. I've still got wood to burn on bonfires. My birthday's bonfire night, by the way. I have a bit of a video I might upload at Christmas with fireworks from one of the fetes. But slowly I'm making it more presentable, if that makes logical sense. We have to duck here, and we can have a better view now of the back of the barn and the scope of works that really need to be done on this barn. But I think it could be a very beautiful building, and it's a bit sacrilege really to take the bulldozer to it. But we do need to get the planning for change of use, because if we don't, no change of use, nobody in the right mind wants to spend thousands and thousands of pounds putting a new roof on it, repointing the outside when you actually can't use the inside for anything that's either going to give you a home to live in or some rental income. So if it doesn't get the planning for change of use, I think it's curtains for the barn. What do you think? What would you do with that building if you can't make it into a house or home or rental income? It's a lot of money to spend. Anyway, Dutch barn, which spoils the view from the house. Barn. At the moment, my car's in it, my tractors, well, my 2 tractors are in it. JCB's in it for keep them out of the frost, because we had our first frost not long ago. This is a bit Heath Robinson, has a door there which I've tied up with rope, and it's got some holes in the roof. If your roof in France has holes in it, you can't insure your building. Point of thing there. So there's the back of the main house, which is where I'm going to put a sliding door in, where that set of shutters are closed. And this is the outbuilding. So this outbuilding, the mayor has given us permission to make this into a gite, and it's going to be a nice 1-bedroom. If you've seen the other videos, you'll know I'm on with this. And this is the first part. Is it a village if I've got a gite and a house? Does that make a village? So just for a quick flick through for anyone who hasn't seen this one. And here, I'm going to put the light on now, so you can actually see the beautiful stonework, which I'm going to have to rake out in between all the joints and probably cement them up. But we've had quite a lot of rain and frost at the minute, and I've got a set of stairs which I'm going to try and make to fit that. And some of these floorboards are rotten. The beams are good, but the floorboards are rotten, so I'm going to salvage, hopefully, some of the boards that you might have seen in that barn on the 2nd floor, sand them down and use them for the upstairs. And as I said, 1 bread oven full of rubbish at the moment. So that's, I don't know who's going to climb in there. We need a small person, I think, to go in there. Any small people out there? And going out this way, so this is going to have a new door on it, window, and that'll be the downstairs bathroom toilet for the gite. We have here some outbuildings. I'm still clearing these out. There's a bit of wood in that one. This one here still got a bit of wood in it. Needs a good clear out, and so does all these brambles and everything need pulling out. I do have some shutters in there, no idea where they're from. We might be able to use them in the future, maybe not. And we're into the last outbuilding here. I think I just felt snow. It's nearly feeding time at the zoo. All the animals are waiting because this barn here has a new roof on it, and I keep the food in here. There's the ginge. following us around. Now this bit, just for discussion, this was, I think, a water trough for the animals back in the day, and during the summer we grew sunflowers. Now we've got some canna lilies, strawberries, all sorts in there, and hopefully next summer that'll be an abundance of colour. That's the hope. And in this barn, I'll put the lights on. So this one, currently storage. I've got more firewood over there, and I've not bought any firewood since I arrived in France. Up on the roof again, it's got a vapour barrier on, but it's been damaged because I think we've had birds in here. But generally 99% is in perfect condition. New rafters, and this is the size of a big detached, probably 4-bedroom house back in the UK. So again, there's more scope here should you want to use it. And here we have the animals waiting for feeding time, and it's hailstoning, trying. So I'll carry on. I'll show you up here before the rain comes. So this is the boundary here for the house on the other side, and it goes all the way down to the big tree there. So as you can tell, 6,000 square meters is a big chunk of land. I'm not sure what 6,000 square meters is in terms of acres, but it can't be far off an acre. Now here I've got some more outbuildings. The hens, ducks and geese are in the outbuildings here, and I've got 2 new doors to go on there which we've been painting. And here we've got like a pond, which I think was part of the old farming setup. Maybe they used to put slurry in there or manure and let it rot down, but now it's filled up and done as a pond to collect water. So I think they collect water in there and then use it for the sheep on the fields. Because this farm originally had 92 hectares with it. The 92 hectares is still with the previous landowner, and I've just got a tiny little field off the 92 hectares. Here, we now go on to the polytunnels. Polytunnels, obviously it looks like 2, but it's actually 1. So if you pop yourselves in, there's still the electric cables buried under the ground, and it pops up in here behind the wall. And I think there was at one point some water supply, so it would be quite possible to connect onto the existing water and have electricity in the place, which is handy. Now these bales are this year's bales because they're being used for the horses, and this section here, I think somebody's been in while the place is empty and they've stolen all the barriers, because if you look on the other side, the barriers are still in there for when they had sheep in. So this is an insulated polytunnel, which means it's got an amount of fiberglass between this white layer and the layer on the outside, so it does keep the chill off, and it's actually for lambing or for fattening up sheep. It's not for cows, is my understanding. And it's a good car park for your tractors and your diggers, classic cars, things like that. And it's still got all the lights in, so it's pretty much hook it up to the electric and water and you've got a functioning agricultural building. And there's your little barriers in there. But we'll go and have a look. This is sat on its own plot, which is attached to the rest of the plots. But we'll take you out now and I'll show you. Because if you look here on the outside, I've got some bales here, which are probably 3 or 4 years old. They're no good, they're knackered, and I'm trying to get rid of them slowly but surely. So when I bought the property, I had like a pyramid of bales, which I'll go and show you now, are down here because I got a friend to come with their tractor and it has a spike on it. So they've arranged them along the boundary, and all the trees that have been taken out, that's where I've been digging and putting them in. So I'll show you that now. Now here, these are all the bales, as you can see. They're all collapsing, they're all no good, not good for bedding, not good for feed either. But behind them I've just been putting the old ash trees that were growing in and around the house and what have you. So I've probably got 12, 13 so far that have taken and dug in. I'm not saying every single one's going to survive, but I'd like to think quite a few of them will survive, and that'll give us a nice screen of trees in times to come. But you can see where the bales were here, and this little strip here, this is called a chemin in French, and basically they have chemins, and you can generally walk down the chemins. A lot of them are dead ends though, but basically they go out to fields. This chemin is probably maybe a couple of 100 meters long, and it just stops at the field down at the bottom. But because there's a tenant farmer farming the 92 hectares, I couldn't buy this very little tiny strip to link everything together here, because the tenant farmer needs access, and it's complicated in France with agricultural stuff. So unless the tenant farmer becomes not a tenant farmer and the land goes back to the landowner, only then will I be able to buy this little strip. But at the moment there's only me, the ducks, the geese and the hens really using the chemin, because we don't really see the farmer much, because all he does is comes once a year and cuts the grass. So it's still very, very private. But to give you a bit of a view of the, did we buy a village or did we not? You can see it from down here, and some of this sand here has come from the house where there was mounds. I keep finding mounds that the old farmers put, but this is the project here. So if you follow me up this little hill, it'll give you a good overview, I think, of the vastness of what we're doing, because most of this land was overgrown when I came, and I've spent all summer trimming, cutting the grass, trimming nettles, brambles, you name it, to get it so as it's like in a manageable state, shall we say. But that's us now. So you've got the pond, well, let's start here. Polytunnels, you've got the pond marsh, the barn, the gite, the house, the barn, the Dutch barn, and over the road you've got the little cottage. And that all sits collectively on around about 8 hectares of land altogether. So this field is 6.5, the house plot's 1, that gets you to 7.5. Adding the plot across the road gets you to 8.1 hectares, and a load of buildings to renovate. A lot of work. Now on practically on the field at the end of the chemin, and you can see the view down the chemin, polytunnels, the complex of houses and barns and buildings, and the big oak tree roughly there, that's just in my neighbour's garden. But all of that goes round the barn is obviously in this collective, and the trees there is the back of the field, and the field goes right up to the houses you can see in the distance. So this particular field wraps around the whole of the hamlet, and then on the other side there is another chemin, and just down here we have another small pond which is full of koi poo, which are like giant rats, and then the horses are in the field. The particular field is split up into 3 so they can be moved around the field and allow the grass to recover in each section. They're currently in the far section, which has quite a lot of grass on the moment, so they're not really eating the bales. But I'm sure now that the temperatures drop, the grass will stop growing and they'll be on eating the bales. And that is me. Have I bought a village? That's the question. If anybody would like to comment and throw us a load of comments in there to say yes or no. But when I look at some of these, does 2 houses, 3 houses in France make a village? I don't know if it does personally. But anyway, it's a nice small holding. It's got plenty of opportunity for an agro tourist business in France. And we'll see how we get on with it. And hopefully you'll keep in touch and see how the project develops.